decided to order a cheese omelet. At the last instant, added a mixed salad with it, so it's sort of a combination breakfast, lunch. Anything you order here comes with a nice, wholesome-sized piece of naan. But the omelet is any indication this is going to be a very good breakfast. On a spectacularly beautiful day. It's just pleasantly warm, cool, with nothing but blue skies. It couldn't be a more gorgeous day. I went to the bus station in Pristina, expecting for it to be about a 1-hour trip up to Pristina. It's not that far. But as it turns out, the journey by bus takes more than 2 hours. And the reason caught me by surprise. Much of the 2-lane highway between the two cities is urbanized. And the buses seem to stop at every little bus stop. So instead of it being like an intercity bus, it's really like being on a street bus for 2+ hours. Poking along, often at 15 or 20 miles per hour. But nonetheless, I got here. I'm here on Pristina's vibrant main pedestrian street, Boulevard Teresa, which you may recognize as Mother Teresa, named in honor of her. Mother Teresa is, maybe you know, was Macedonian born, but her family moved into what is now Kosovo early on, into a small village in the south of the country where she grew up, before devoting her life to helping the poor in India. And thus Kosovo is very proud to claim her. In 2010, the new Roman Catholic Cathedral here was also named in her honor, amid much fanfare. Not unusual on the surface, until of course you realize that Pristina residents are about 98% Muslim. That statue that you can see behind me reminds me of what an eclectic place this is. That is the statue of Skanderbeg, the Albanian hero from the 15th century who pushed back the Turks, the Ottomans, from Albania. And so you say, what's that got to do with Kosovo? Well, the vast majority of Kosovo's citizens are ethnic Albanians. And there's certainly a kindred spirit there. About 200,000 people live here in Pristina. It's slightly larger than Prizren. And it's the country's political, economic, cultural, and trade center. Despite that, and despite the fact that Pristina has existed since ancient times, it is as different as night and day to Prizren. While it's pleasantly lively, and some would say delightfully quirky, there's comparatively very little here of historic character. It's a modern city. Much of what was old and by today's standards charming in this city was destroyed, literally demolished during the communist era, when Serbia, including today's Kosovo, was part of the former Yugoslavia. The communist decision to make Pristina the capital of the Kosovo region in 1947 brought rapid development here, but it also wrought destruction. The Yugoslav communist mantra was destroy the old, build the new, and that pretty much describes what happened. The communist leaders of that era set out to level the old Ottoman bazaar, and a large part of the city's historic center, historic mosques, Catholic churches, and Ottoman houses were bulldozed. When you look around here, mostly what you see is what's been built since the latter half of the 20th century, when this city more than doubled in size. This pedestrian street is very laid back. There's not a great deal of commerce, at least not as much as you would expect on a street of this size, as long as it is. It's more like clusters of little shops and some outdoor cafes. It's been well planted with trees, and so the small shops and businesses are mainly off to the side on the central sidewalk. But it's nonetheless very pleasant. Well, I've come to the section of town that is referred to commonly around here as Old Town, and I'm talking about the section where the old bazaar used to be, but which, despite being largely wiped out in post-World War II, many of the structures that were part of it and part of this neighborhood still has one outstanding piece of antiquity here. A mosque from the 1400s, the oldest remaining piece of antiquity in Pristina. The Imperial Mosque, built in 1461, has gone through long periods of time when its condition has languished. In recent years, there have been plans, with the help of the Turkish government, to give it yet another renovation, and it appears that that has begun. Well, there's a sense of community here. There are people who are sitting around in this little plaza where this mosque is located, and down below it there's a modern version of the old bazaar. I'm going to step down there now and see what I find. Well, as I look at these buildings and the shops, a lot's been rebuilt here in the 20th century as a result of what happened here under communist rule after World War II. But the streets are still cobbled. And as I look up ahead, I am surprised, because this is not a mere place that used to be. There is up ahead, as you'll see shortly, I'll show you, a revived open-air marketplace. Well, as you can see, it's a popular street. There are cars coming down through here. I think many of them are merchants and suppliers, because they're among the vehicles, there are more vans than anything else. And yet, looking off of the street, both to the right and left of the streets coming into it, I see more of the same. I see a very active bazaar that is very much unlike the rest of Pristina that you see in the modern downtown. Just take a look at this and you'll see what I mean.
Hani hepsi ontlaşmış nikil mi acaba onu bahar sagolye. Hayır hayır.
Nie szaleje
Hayır ukryt reaguje.
Nie festa. Festa nie masz w
Yani ukrycie. Spas na ten sobie ja mam chyba najpierw.
German, English.
Deutsch.
U.S.
US.
US.
Yes, America. Yes, yes, yes.
Ja mi tyle dziś. Ja, nie dziś. Mi tyle dziś. Mi tyle dziś.
As I've progressed farther and farther into this tented bazaar, this has turned out to be a surprise, a happy one, because there's a real feeling of authenticity.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Esse bazo.
I don't speak Albanian.
Feito de badar com Kosovo da
One of those. Let me try one.
Aka teraz da kutara da.
Good.
Good.
What is
Feito
it?
bazo.
Baso.
Bazo tento badar com kutara da.
Those are pistachios, and they're very good. I'm making my way out on the opposite side from which I came in, and there's more food here, but there's also hardware and kitchenware, clothing, some jewelry. Just walking past a plumbing supply store, I guess. I guess it's more like a general hardware store. No pun intended. It's kind of bizarre that I found this place. I'm walking down one of Pristina's busiest thoroughfares in the center of the city, Bill Clinton Boulevard. For those of you unfamiliar with recent Kosovo history, and I'm talking about the last 20, 25 years, it may come as a surprise to know that former U.S. President Bill Clinton is a venerated figure here. And I'm standing in front of not only the statue in his honor in central Pristina, but also a large likeness of him on the building behind me, as well as, of course, a U.S. flag flying nearby. And of course, the reason for that is that the role President Clinton played in consolidating support within the United Nations to place UN peacekeeping troops here, a move that many people in Kosovo consider as having saved them from possible annihilation. The affinity for former President Clinton is tangible here. Besides the boulevard and the statue and the gigantic photo on the building, there were businesses throughout Kosovo named for Mr. Clinton. I passed through a small town on the bus on the way to Pristina, and there was a large athletic complex, a gym, the Bill Clinton Gymnasium. Even though communism here went out the window more than 3 decades ago, it left an indelible mark on this city in many ways, and it's also added to the quirkiness or the colorfulness of this town, especially considering that since 2008 at least, it's been the capital of a self-declared democratic nation. And I mention this because that striking monument you see in the background is titled Brotherhood and Unity, and it's a relic of the communist era. In fact, Brotherhood and Unity was the slogan of the old Yugoslavian Communist Party, and there it stands still in one of Pristina's more prominent public plazas. Just another indication of what a mix this is between old and new, politically and otherwise. A colorful town.